Discovered in a parent's cutlery drawer, this tool is constructed from metal and features a plastic T-shaped handle for grip. It is described as being sharp, approximately 6 inches in length, and possessing 2 small angled loops at its working end. What is this particular kitchen utensil with its distinctive sharp loops designed to do? Its form suggests a specialized cutting, peeling, or shaping function for food preparation. This kitchen tool is identified as a spiralizer, a popular gadget used for creating long, spiral strands or ribbons from various fruits and vegetables. The sharp, angled loops are the cutting blades. As the fruit or vegetable, such as zucchini, carrots, cucumbers, sweet potatoes, or apples, is twisted against these blades, or as the tool itself is twisted into the produce, it is cut into continuous spiral shapes. These vegetable noodles, or spirals, are often used as a healthy alternative to pasta, in salads, or as decorative garnishes. The T-handle provides a comfortable and effective grip for applying the necessary rotational force to operate the tool efficiently. A puppy, while enthusiastically digging in the backyard, unearthed this black plastic cylinder. It appears to be electrical in nature, though its specific function is not immediately discernible from the initial brief description. A link to a picture, provided in the original post, though not available here, would offer more crucial visual details for a precise identification. Based on common backyard finds, what could this puppy-excavated plastic cylinder be? Without the benefit of the linked image, a definitive identification of the black plastic electrical cylinder is challenging. However, common items matching this general description that are often found buried in backyards include components of underground irrigation systems, such as solenoid valve housings for sprinklers, or waterproof enclosures for wire splices. It could also be related to low-voltage landscape lighting systems, perhaps a connector, a small transformer casing, or part of a buried wire run. Less commonly, it might be a piece of a pet containment fence system, like an insulator or a splice kit for the boundary wire. The electrical nature suggests it likely housed wiring or electronic components designed for outdoor or underground use. The puppy, of course, deserves praise for its archaeological discovery. Washed up on a New Jersey beach were multiple examples of these peculiar objects. White strings composed of numerous disc-like structures with a distinct spiral arrangement running along the outside. Each string is approximately 8 inches in length, and all specimens exhibited a very consistent form. The finder initially speculated they might be spent firecrackers due to their somewhat regular segmented appearance, but questioned why so many would be found in the ocean. They bear no resemblance to any known skeletal forms. What are these intriguing, spirally arranged strings of discs? These distinctive spiral structures are definitively identified as whelk egg cases, often poetically referred to as mermaids' necklaces. Whelks are a type of large, predatory sea snail. Female whelks lay these elaborate, coiled strings of tough, leathery capsules, each of which contains hundreds of tiny developing eggs. The entire structure is anchored to the seabed. After the juvenile whelks hatch and emerge from their individual capsules, the now empty egg case strings often become detached and are washed ashore by tides and currents. Their unique, somewhat resilient texture and unmistakable coiled, disc-like structure are very characteristic, making them a common and fascinating find for beachcombers along many coastlines. A large, orange-colored machine is being towed behind a truck on a public road. A Google Lens search by the observer suggested it might be a rig for drilling a water well. However, the machine has been observed moving up and down the same street throughout the morning, an activity pattern that seems inconsistent with well drilling and possibly associated with an upcoming intersection expansion project. What is this mobile orange drilling rig actually being used for? This orange machine is a mobile drill rig specifically used for taking soil samples, a crucial process in geotechnical engineering, also known as soil boring or site investigation. Before any significant construction project, such as road building, intersection expansion, or foundation work for structures, engineers must thoroughly understand the properties and composition of the subsurface soil and rock layers. This rig drills down into the ground to extract core samples at various depths. These samples are then taken to a laboratory for analysis to determine parameters like soil type, strength, density, moisture content, and bearing capacity. This information is vital for designing stable and durable roadbeds, foundations, and other civil engineering works. This object is a thick, oval-shaped piece of glass. A notable feature is the marking 50 volts inscribed on its inside surface. Its substantial thickness and specific shape suggest it is not ordinary window glass, but rather a specialized lens or viewport from some kind of optical or potentially electrical apparatus. What could this particular glass component be, especially considering the unusual voltage marking? This thick oval glass is identified as likely being the front window or objective lens cover from the head of a submarine periscope, specifically the part that emerges from the water to provide a view of the surface. Periscope optics are engineered to be extremely robust to withstand the immense pressures of deep-sea submersion and the harsh marine environment. The 50 volts marking is a strong indicator that this glass component incorporated an internal electrical heating element. Such heaters are commonly used in optical instruments exposed to fluctuating temperatures and high humidity to prevent condensation or icing on the glass surface, which would otherwise obscure vision. The linked periscope manual in the original post would likely confirm its specific application and details of the heating system. Protruding from the soil in the garden of a 16th century thatched cottage in England is this substantial, thick metal rod, possibly made of iron. The cottage itself was formerly a farmhouse and features wooden beamed ceilings and stone walls. The rod is situated next to a large, equally thick stone wall that separates the garden from a neighboring property, also part of the converted farmhouse. Attempts to remove the rod have been unsuccessful. Given the considerable age and history of the house, what could be the purpose of this deeply embedded metal rod? This metal rod is strongly suggested to be a grounding rod, also known as an earthing electrode. Grounding rods are essential safety components of electrical systems. They are driven deep into the earth to provide a low-resistance path for electrical current to dissipate safely into the ground. This protects buildings, electrical installations, and occupants from the dangers of lightning strikes or electrical faults by diverting excess current away from the structure. The T shape sometimes found at the top of such rods is designed for securely clamping the grounding conductor wire. While some folklore suggests copper rods can benefit garden growth, its primary and critical function, if it is indeed a grounding rod, would be for electrical safety, a practice that has been understood in various forms for a considerable time. Discovered in a grandparent's basement while preparing for a garage sale, this peculiar gold-colored item features spinny parts and a small knob. Its purpose is a complete mystery to the family members. The design, incorporating rollers and a turning mechanism, suggests it's used to manipulate or dispense a product from a flexible tube or a similar type of container. What could this ornate mechanical gadget possibly be? This gold-colored device with rotating components and a knob is identified as a rather fancy or vintage version of a toothpaste roller, also known as a tube squeezer. These ingenious gadgets are designed to help users extract every last bit of product from collapsible tubes, such as those containing toothpaste, ointments, adhesives, or even artist paints. The tube is typically inserted between two rollers, the spinny parts. By turning the knob, the tube is gradually wound through these rollers, effectively squeezing the contents towards the nozzle and minimizing waste. This particular one, with its gold color, appears to be a more decorative or older style compared to the simpler, often plastic, versions commonly seen today. Numerous tiny, dark magnetic balls were unexpectedly found adhered to an AirPods case. Their minute size and magnetic property, along with their appearance on a commonly used personal item, make their origin a perplexing question. Where could these minuscule magnetic spheres have come from, and why were they attracted to the AirPods case? These tiny, dark, and magnetic balls are almost certainly leftover blasting media, a byproduct of industrial metal surface treatment processes. Blasting media, which can include materials like steel shot, steel grit, or other ferrous particles, is propelled at high velocity onto metal surfaces to clean, descale, strip coatings, or create a specific surface texture, shot peening. If a piece of metal furniture, a tool, or any other metal item that underwent such a blasting process was not thoroughly cleaned afterward, some of this fine magnetic particulate could remain lodged in crevices or on surfaces. Subsequently, if this contaminated item came into close proximity with the AirPods case, the strong magnets within the case, used for lid closure and earbud alignment, would attract and collect these residual ferrous particles. A black Pelican case, measuring approximately 16 by 12 by 6 inches and exhibiting no visible openings or external controls, is observed securely mounted to a lamppost and locked. Its robust, weatherproof appearance and secure installation suggest it contains sensitive or valuable equipment performing some kind of monitoring or data collection function. What is this enigmatic, locked Pelican case on a lamppost likely containing, and what is its civic purpose? This locked Pelican case mounted on a lamppost is identified as housing a radar-based traffic counter. These autonomous devices are frequently deployed by transportation departments, city planners, or traffic engineering firms to gather essential data on vehicular traffic flow. The radar unit, safely enclosed within the durable and weatherproof Pelican case, emits radio waves and meticulously analyzes the Doppler shift of the reflections from passing vehicles. This allows it to accurately count the number of vehicles, measure their speeds, and sometimes even classify them by size. The collected data is invaluable for traffic management strategies, road infrastructure planning, urban development, and conducting safety studies to improve road conditions and reduce accidents. A thin, ribbed plastic object was unfortunately flushed down a toilet, leading to frequent and troublesome clogs. The object is described as being fairly rigid, although it possesses a slight degree of flexibility. It appears to be broken off on the ribbed end, while its back surface is smooth. The distressed homeowner is keen to identify this plastic piece to understand its origin and perhaps why it ended up causing such plumbing woes. What is this problematic plastic item? This thin, ribbed plastic object, particularly if it exhibits a tapered wedge shape, which is common for such items, is identified as a plastic shim. Shims are small, often wedge-shaped or flat pieces of plastic, wood, or sometimes metal. They are widely used in construction and installation work to fill small gaps, precisely level surfaces, or provide stable support when fitting items like windows, doors, cabinets, toilets, or other fixtures. It is highly probable that this shim was used during the installation of the toilet itself or a nearby bathroom fixture. It might have been accidentally dropped into the drain during the work, or perhaps it became dislodged over time and was inadvertently flushed. Their rigid nature, even if thin, can easily lead to them getting caught in drain pipes and causing significant blockages. Discovered at a children's play center, this object features a distinctive purple tip and a solid metal body, measuring roughly 5 centimeters in length. Alarmingly, it proved to be strong and sharp enough to pierce a child's shoe and even their toe. This incident highlights its potential danger. What could this small, sharp, and seemingly out-of-place metal item with a purple cap be? This item strongly resembles a watch-winding stem, complete with its crown, the purple tip. The stem is the slender metal rod that forms the crucial link between the external crown, the knob used for winding the watch and setting the time, and the intricate internal movement of the timepiece. When the stem is pushed in, turning the crown typically winds the watch's mainspring. Pulling the stem out to one or more distinct positions engages different gears within the movement, allowing the user to adjust the time or date displays. The presence of a rubber O-ring, often found at the base of the crown where it meets the case, would serve to provide water resistance for the watch. How such a small, sharp component ended up at a children's play center is unknown, but its pointed nature clearly poses a hazard. Constructed from wood, this object features a top bar that is designed to move back and forth. 2 of these identical devices were found stored in the basement of a house built in the 1950s, left behind by the previous owners. The presence of a pair and their specific mechanical action hints at a particular, possibly novelty function. What is this wooden mechanism with a reciprocating sliding bar? This wooden device is identified as the internal dispensing mechanism for a homemade candy dispenser. Such dispensers were a very popular and common woodworking project in high school woodshop classes, particularly in the mid to late 20th century, and many DIY plans were also available. The sliding bar, when pulled or pushed, would typically operate a simple gate, shuttle, or paddle mechanism. This action releases a small, measured amount of candy, like M&Ms, gumballs, peanuts, or other small treats, from a larger hopper or storage container above, allowing it to fall into an accessible opening or chute below. The simplicity of the design and its wooden construction are highly characteristic of these often charming, handmade candy machines. This black plastic object, described as a stand thing, is noted to be very lightweight, partially hollow, and approximately 3 inches in length. Its shape, likely angled or designed to fit over an edge, suggests it serves as a protective or finishing component for a piece of furniture or a structural element. What is this small, angled plastic piece intended to cover or fit onto? This black plastic piece is identified as an end cap or protective cover, most likely designed for a metal bed frame rail, or potentially for a similarly shaped angled metal component on another piece of furniture or equipment. These caps serve both aesthetic and functional purposes. Aesthetically, they provide a more finished and tidy look to the exposed ends of metal rails. Functionally, they cover potentially sharp or rough edges of the cut metal, preventing scratches to bedding, walls, or people, and also helping to prevent snags on clothing or linens. They are typically designed with a hollow interior to fit snugly over the end of the rail and are commonly made of durable, impact-resistant plastic. Acquired from a Goodwill store near the Twin Cities metro area, this handmade ceramic vessel initially appeared to be a cash pot. However, it felt oddly heavy for its size. Upon breaking the tape that secured the lid, a surprise bonus vase thing, an inner cup attached to the underside of the lid, was discovered. This unique 2-part construction is puzzling. What is this ceramic container with an integral inner cup on its lid specifically designed for? This distinctive ceramic vessel is identified as a butter bell, also commonly known as a French butter dish or a butter crock. It represents a traditional and ingenious method for keeping butter soft, spreadable, and fresh at room temperature without the need for refrigeration. The user packs softened butter firmly into the bell, the inner cup that is part of the lid. A small amount of cool water, typically about an inch or so, is then placed in the outer crock or base. When the lid is placed onto the crock, the inverted bell of butter is submerged in the water, creating an airtight and watertight seal. This seal protects the butter from air and light, preventing spoilage and maintaining its creamy texture for a considerable period, typically 1 to 2 weeks if the water is changed regularly. Located on a titanium bicycle frame crafted by Habanero Bicycles just behind the head tube is this peculiar threaded-looking bung, which features a small spike on its extremity. The frame has no other openings in the head tube area, which seems to rule out the possibility of it being intended for internal cable routing. This small, spiky fitting on an otherwise sleek bike frame raises the question, why does this bike have what the finder humorously terms a G-spot? This small, threaded bung with a spike is identified as a pump peg, a once common feature on bicycle frames. On older bicycles, particularly road bikes, touring bikes, and some mountain bikes from previous decades, these pegs were brazed or welded directly onto the frame tubes. Typically, there would be 2 such pegs. One might be located on the seat tube and another corresponding peg on the top tube or down tube. They were specifically designed to securely hold a frame-fit hand pump. The pump would be slightly compressed and then fitted between these 2 pegs, with the spike or shaped head of the peg fitting snugly into a corresponding hole or recess on the pump's handle or body, keeping it readily accessible for roadside tire inflation. A reefer trailer, which is a refrigerated semi-truck trailer, had been converted into a tiny home. This unattached tank was discovered underneath it. Its original purpose within the reefer trailer's operational system is not immediately apparent to the new owner. What is this substantial tank, and would it be essential to retain if the trailer, in its current tiny home configuration, ever needed to be moved? This tank is almost certainly the auxiliary fuel tank for the trailer's refrigeration unit, commonly known as the reefer. These powerful refrigeration units, which maintain the cold temperature inside the trailer for transporting perishable goods, have their own dedicated diesel engines to power the cooling system. These engines require a separate fuel supply from the main truck tractor. This tank, typically mounted to the nose section or underside of the trailer, would store the diesel fuel specifically for the reefer unit. Some transportation companies utilize larger tanks like this one to significantly extend the reefer's operational runtime, which was particularly crucial for trailers used in rail transport operations, where refueling opportunities are less frequent. The large central hole mentioned might have housed a fuel level sending unit, possibly linked to a wireless monitoring system for tracking fuel levels while the trailer was on a train. Unearthed in a canister, found in a yard following renovations to an old section of a house, these small metal gold-colored cylinders are described as being very lightweight, not even an ounce each. Unfortunately, any writing on the canister's tape is illegible. A beer can is provided in the image for scale, confirming their diminutive size. What could these small, precisely shaped metal cylinders be? These small, gold-colored metal cylinders strongly resemble shear pins. Shear pins are crucial sacrificial components used in a wide variety of mechanical devices and machinery. They are intentionally designed to be the weakest point in a drivetrain or assembly. Their purpose is to break or shear under a predetermined amount of stress or overload, thereby protecting more expensive, critical, or harder to replace parts of the machine from catastrophic damage. Common applications include outboard motor propellers, protecting the gearbox if the prop strikes an object, snowblower augers, preventing damage if a solid object is ingested, and various agricultural or industrial equipment where jams or impacts are a possibility. When the designated force is exceeded, the pin shears off cleanly, disconnecting the drive and preventing further harm. Discovered near a dishwasher, this small white plastic component measures about 1 inch in width. It features 2 prongs that appear designed to make electrical contact with a battery, and also incorporates release tabs on either side. The friend who found it doesn't believe it belongs to the dishwasher itself. What could this battery-related plastic piece with specific connection and release features be? This small white plastic component is precisely identified as the end cap for a battery pack or battery wand used to power automatic or motorized curtains, blinds, or shades. Many modern motorized window treatments, especially those in retrofit installations where hardwiring is difficult, utilize cylindrical battery tubes or packs to power their operation. This end cap, with its integrated battery contact prongs and spring-loaded release tabs, would fit onto one end of the battery tube, or housing. It serves to complete the electrical circuit to the motor and securely hold the batteries, typically AAs or similar, in place. The release tabs allow for easy removal of the cap to change the batteries when they are depleted. Donated to a thrift store, this oval-shaped item, which has a sticker on it, measures about 4 inches in length and weighs approximately 1 pound. Research indicates that the company associated with it has been in existence for decades. Online searches for similar items yield varied descriptions, with some calling it a pendant, others a brooch, and yet another source claiming it was a belt buckle. The finder concurs with the belt buckle theory, but is unsure how it would attach to a belt, and wonders if a part is missing from the back. What is this substantial, possibly vintage, oval object? This oval-shaped, heavy item is indeed believed to be a belt buckle. Many decorative, novelty, or statement belt buckles, especially larger and heavier ones, are designed as a solid front plaque or plate, which then attaches to a separate belt strap mechanism. It is highly probable that the necessary attachment hardware on the back of this buckle, typically a loop or bar for the belt strap to pass through, and a prong or hook to engage with the belt holes, is either missing, was a separate component that has become detached, or was designed to be used with a specific type of belt strap that had its own fastening system. Without a clear view of the back, a definitive assessment of missing parts is difficult, but its size, weight, and general form are very consistent with that of a substantial, decorative belt buckle. If you love uncovering strange and mysterious objects, hit that like button and subscribe. Stay curious. More finds coming soon.